Alright, fire her up. Okay, which one of you is driving? Who drove last night?
It was cribbing.
I drove last night.
So it is my turn to drink and drive.
Yeehaw.
Hello, everybody.
Friends. Friends and not friends. Welcome.
We're gonna finish this shit.
We're gonna finish this shit.
Probably. Is Nick getting drunk? I don't know if drunk will happen, but I am going to be drinking a drink. I have a single Truly. However much that'll do.
I have an energy drink. And we all have voices for these characters that we probably forgot.
Speak
Yeah.
for yourself,
Ooh.
and also for me.
I only carried 4 passengers that night, I swear it.
Well, I for one was told I had to pay 5 pence for the bus.
He fiddled with us on the fare, he did. And then I saw that blood curdling inside as well. It's all too much.
I tell you, I saw McGilded stabbing that man. Everything I said before stands.
Oh wait, speaking is repeating?
Uh-oh.
1 second.
Do you have Twitch up on your laptop? And if so, is it muted?
Nick, I think you do have to...
It is muted.
Oh.
It's audio property.
Are any of these headset microphones on?
Test ABC. It doesn't sound like it's repeating on our end. Is it still doing it? Not doing it anymore? Interesting. Okay.
They got stabbed. That's what I...
Yes.
Oh, yes, he stabbed him. Yes, he did. I think so, yes.
Counsel, make sense of this for me, please.
The phantom fifth passenger, conjured into existence by my learned Eastern friend, never existed. The confusion has arisen from the coachman's sly little... cousinage? Gesundheit.
Oh.
Memo, explain yourself.
I'm terribly sorry, Guildmaster.
Gil's fast, 4 points across the board. You know that. And I might understand, you've been overcharging passengers by a penny a fare?
It's so cold and the last run of the day is always half empty.
You have been dishonest, coachman?
Death.
I'm sorry. Bring death to me.
You're a disgrace, Beepo! A disgrace! And your selfish actions have brought dishonor to the entire guild.
If I may say, I had to pay 10 pence on the bus just last week.
What?
4 passengers at 5 pence each is, yes, 20 pence. I've done the arithmetic 10 times already, but I just can't make sense. I just can't make the result come out differently.
No, that figures.
Ha!
Well, it would appear that one of the aforementioned misgivings has already been explained. So, counsel for the defense, your cross-examination, if you please.
You've already had the pleasure of a protracted summation examination today. I see you intend to continue the parlor games.
Absolutely.
God, I love his eyes.
Jiggling everywhere.
The only jiggle physics I ever want in a game.
Mario's nose isn't good enough.
No.
Gesundheit.
Thank you.
So there were only. Is that right?
It isn't possible to make the last run of the day pay. It was so cold, all I could do was stop myself from passing out.
I'm getting chillblains just listening to you.
No chillblains.
It was terrible, so I wanted to give myself a pat on the back for even keeping the bus running.
Have a peepus.
Dedicated coachman deserve an extra penny per passenger.
Penis.
I like your dedication to the correct amount of peas. You're digging a deeper hole for yourself there. If only there had been a fifth passenger on the omnibus that night.
So, I know that, Nick, you didn't really watch a lot of Disney Channel. I don't know about you either, Zach.
Decent amount.
And That's So Raven, and I think, like, the earlier episodes, there was a teacher at our high school who, like, his shtick was that he, like, spat everywhere whenever he, like, said anything with a P in it.
What
And that's-
show was this?
That's So Raven.
Oh.
And that's exactly what I'm thinking of.
Have-
Like, as this man, just, like...
Have I told you my, like, That's So Raven story?
Maybe?
Like, you know the computer lab in, like, middle school, and they, like, teaching you to type, and they have the thing on top of the laptop?
Yeah.
There was the girl next to me was just like, Google That's So Raven. Google Raven Simone. And I was like, okay. And then I Googled Raven Simone, and it was like, yeah, That's So Raven, Disney Channel. Watch on Disney Channel, that's so raven.com. The teacher stormed over and, like, screamed at me for looking up pornography.
Oh my god.
Excuse me?
Yeah, I don't know.
Wow, Nick, you shouldn't have been looking up.
Yeah,
You're lucky
really-
to fucking whack off in the class.
Really my fault for looking up pornography in the middle of class. But, you know, That's So Raven.
Right, That's So Raven. What a good That's So Raven story.
You're welcome.
You know, Nick, one of these days I'm gonna actually, like, make you sit through a bunch of, like, Disney Channel shows I used to watch.
Hey, as long as I
instead
can
of-
show you the rest of SpongeBob.
Okay, yeah.
Wow. I forgot. I already said.
Hold it!
Oh, that mean everyone on board that night paid 5 pence instead of 4?
Well, I paid 5 pence.
And I told you that I did.
A flat fare of 5 pence across the board.
It's not something to be proud of.
So-called discrepancy my learned friend identified was nothing of the sort. Much like the phantom killer you desperately needed, it's gone, dead and buried. God, I'm hot.
I'd have been happy if it had ever existed in the first place.
Oh, I don't need to say this.
Hold it!
This blood-curdling sight. You mean the murder, I presume?
Yes, sir.
A loathsome sight. No one should have to witness the horror in the eyes of the man of the moment his life is taken.
Oh, well, not exactly, sir. I mean, I didn't actually see the exact moment the gent was stabbed.
What?
Good gracious, really?
We have another witness who did, however. The banker has already testified to it.
But Mr. First didn't actually see the point at which the victim was killed. So you think he looks like the judge of Red Lions. I was thinking Santa Claus, but then switched to Pooh Bear because he's like public domain now, so I can use Pooh Bear as the judge. But this may turn out to be very significant.
I heard the banker gent next to me take a sharp intake of breath. See? That's when I looked through the glass. That's when I saw that horrible blade poking out from his belly, all covered in blood. Every time I see a knife now, I can't help screaming, even when I'm eating.
So you saw the defendant, Mr. McGilded, stabbing the victim, Mr. Mason, who was sitting next to him. That's what I said, isn't it? It was bothering me before, this was. For just a brief moment, he hesitated before answering the question.
Oh.
Anyway, there was only the two of them inside the carriage, wasn't there?
Wasn't there?
Wasn't there?
Wasn't there? There's been much talk of a fifth passenger, but as of yet, zero evidence.
Ooh.
Then what are we wasting all this time for? Eh? Black and white. The man's guilty.
Something about Mr. Fairplay's testimony just jars with me. I wish I could work out what it was.
I know what it is.
You know what it is?
What is it? What is it? What is it?
Oh yes, he stabbed him. I think.
Earlier, you testified you saw the moment the defendant allegedly stabbed the victim, didn't you?
Yeah?
Yeah?
What of it?
Ew.
And witnesses say he's so guilty.
Oh yes, that's right. I said that.
They can say whatever, honestly, in this game. You said that the victim was on the floor and described the assailant holding the knife in an ice pick grip.
I suppose I might have, you know, yeah, put the cart before the horse, maybe.
What's this?
Well, I'm quite sure about most of it. I was driving the horses when I heard a scream from the seats on the roof deck.
Healed Jenga!
Oh, I expect that was me, sir.
That's when I turned around. Yes, I saw it through the skylight. The gentleman was on the floor. The knife was sticking out of his midriff. That's right, yes, and the fellow holding the handle was the famous man, yes.
So in short, you didn't see the moment the victim was actually stabbed at all?
Looking at you,
You think he's suspicious?
he's very sussy.
I really thought I did, but when I could go over it again in my head. No, I suppose I didn't actually see the precise moment of the stabbing, did I?
Speak up.
Pardon?
Do you have something to say about that, Mr. Fairplay?
Now you listen to me. I know what you're thinking. He didn't really see the exact moment the fellow was stabbed. What are the odds of that?
Beppo is just like perpetually cold.
Yeah,
That's like a character trait.
his job requires him to be in like negative 10 degrees constantly, and now it's like the air around him is chilled as a consequence.
His poor blood.
Yeah.
Poor old man.
Eh?
Are you asking me or telling me? He's getting flustered. I might be able to extract some new information from him if I answer him cleverly. Could he have just happened to see the exact moment the crime was committed?
So
shit.
deeper like
Yeah,
that.
Really
yeah, you
beautiful.
did see someone get stabbed sometimes. Well, it was a little hard to believe, certainly.
London's just like that.
Unless you spend your time peeping through a skylight on top of the omnibus, that is.
Peeping? I'm a respectable city worker, I'll have you know. And I know I saw. I remember it as clear as Ballarat Day. It was a grim scene, I don't mind telling you. It was the best of times, it was the worst of times.
Thank you, Mr. Fairplay.
Oh, excuse me, I was getting a little hot under the collar there, my lord.
I would ask you to supplement your testimony with a clear statement about exactly what you saw.
I can do that, alright. I'll tell you just how grim it was.
Nick, can you hand me my drink, please?
You want your monster energy?
I would, actually.
Fairplay, literally, like you're doing the same voice and it works really well. But Fairplay literally looks like Yesanosa in like a fucking top hat
Yes, I know, sir.
with a Waluigi like mustache. No, I'm into press.
Sure, there's something in the testimony. Do the thing and find the thing. Remember what you learned in the tutorial, Ryunosuke.
Pursue them.
The updated The autopsy report.
Blood-soaked hands.
Blood-soaked? Well, perhaps soaked is laying it on a little thick, but anyway, there was definitely blood all over them. Both of them were covered in it.
Aha! Only one glove had blood.
Objection.
And you saw from the roof through the skylight? I don't think so.
Well, the skylight's reasonably large, so I had a pretty good view. And there was a lamp on the inside of the carriage as well, so I'm sure of what I saw.
This banker's latest statement. Something a little...
Not quite right.
The S word.
Maybe you should present some evidence.
Whoa! And then right back
All
to
this.
Yeah.
Would you like me to give you a tutorial? One tutorial for one, sir?
Rinosuke, keep looking. Excuse me.
I am a woman. I can't speak in court.
That's only in Japanese court.
Ah, that's right, that's right. We have juries here.
Yeah.
Ryunosuke, hit the R button. Susanoo, what are you talking? Just do it, Ryunosuke.
Now hit the X button. I don't know what that means.
Blood-soaked hands?
Well, I admit, so, right, I said this, right?
Stop biting your nails, Nick.
Yeah? You want me to do something about it? Is this new dialogue?
Yeah.
Oh, he's touching the sword.
I'm very
the
sorry.
sword touch.
To disagree, Mr. Fairplay, but that's a little more than peculiar.
What?
Here are the gloves worn by the defendant, Mr. McGilded, on the night in question.
Oh, yeah, right?
And there certainly does not appear to be a sizable dark-colored stain there. But, as I'm sure you can clearly see, it's only on the right-hand glove.
Ah!
Did he just like
Bite?
Yeah, he's nibbling on the
he's
bit.
nibbling that shit?
Yeah.
All
Nibble
right,
the
man.
bit.
Fucking freak.
In short, Mr. Fairplay, your stinky poo-poo butt.
Ooh.
But no! That can't be right! I smell funky fresh!
So you're the liar here then.
Mm.
I can't remember the fucking voice I did for this dude.
That's right. You were quite clear about it. You said, "Yeah, it was both hands."
Ah.
Mr. Fairplay, if your last statement was a lie, it calls your entire testimony into question.
Perjury, motherfucker.
You say you saw the moment the victim was stabbed, but is that really the truth?
God, what a... that perspective shot is so fucking good.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yummy cake.
It was a simple mistake. You can't justify accusing this man of lying. Yes, it wasn't both hands. It was only one, but the fact remains. Pee pee poo poo. Victim's blood was on the accused.
No, Mr. Fairplay categorically denied that he saw blood all over both hands, but by which I mean he said it. Which means there's a strong possibility that this witness was deliberately trying to mislead the court.
Ah! Why? I'm a city banker, for pity's sake! My word should be the gold standard! I'm a gentleman, not some gutter snipe! Upstanding members of society don't prevaricate.
Hooked on phonics. He's claiming to have no reason to lie. But is that really the case?
Mr. Naruhodo, if we had some evidence to explain why Mr. Fairplay might be lying, it could turn the tide in this trial completely.
Something to show this man is a compelling reason to lie in his testimony?
We have it.
Totally had
The-
that.
There is evidence. Yes. I think... Which button is it?
You just said no! What? You said we had no evidence!
Was it defaulted to no?
Yes.
Oh my... I hate that.
Whoa.
Wow! I almost fucked
Excuse
up!
me, player!
Susanoo, I'm sorry.
I think perhaps we should look at the court record and present some evidence.
Yes, counsel. The defense is ready to present evidence. I'm confident this time. Evidence that will clearly demonstrate why Mr. Fairplay had reason to lie in his testimony. I'm afraid, counsel, that before I can allow that to happen, I shall have to penalize you for that reckless about turn.
Come on now.
Damn, Santa.
I suppose that's fair play. Very well. Hereby call on the defense to present its evidence. Evidence that demonstrates a motive for the witness's alleged deception to the court.
Let's see. Oh yeah, his name is in here, yeah?
Yep.
This is a list of the debtors who owe money to Mr. McGilded.
Yes, a list of innocent victims crippled by the accused extortion.
The point is, among the names of these debtors is your name.
The point is, Your Honor, among us.
Yikes.
Mr. Bruce Fairplay. That's a penalty, Mr. Naruhodo! What? Mr. Fairplay!
Kind of sus, Your Honor.
You went in the skylight. This event. You're currently indebted financially to the accused? Oh, well, no, it's barely worth being called a debt. According to the ledger, you owe 20 guineas. Not an inconsiderable sum of money, wouldn't you say? A lot of rodents.
There's a lot of rodents.
Wow! What of it? Let's suppose Mr. McGilded were to be found guilty of murder. It'd be very inconvenient for me. What would become of your debt in that case? These documents state the loan agreement is forged between two individual parties. Therefore, for the creditor, the defendant here, to be sentenced to a capital punishment, all outstanding debts would be owed to him would be annulled. They would cease to exist.
Cease to exist?
Mr. Fairplay, is it not the case that you claimed in your testimony to have seen something you never in fact saw? In a devious attempt to annul your debt of 20 guineas to the defendant?
Got him. Where's my phantom writer guy?
Order! Order, Mr. Bruce Fairplay! Yeah, my lord! Let me ask you again. And be aware that your answer may have the most serious implications upon your future, sir. Did you or did you not see the precise moment at which the defendant is alleged to have thrust a knife into the victim? Your silence speaks volumes. You did not tell the truth in your testimony.
Ooh.
Now, let's not make a melodrama out of this. Perhaps I did overstate the truth a pinch.
Wow.
A pinch. But it makes no difference. I definitely remember seeing blood on Mr. McGilded's hands, both of them. And yet, only one of the defendant's gloves, which we have here as evidence, is stained. So you keep saying.
I wonder if I might be allowed to speak, sir.
No.
Okay.
Go ahead, Mr. First.
Well, the thing is, I think I remember seeing it myself, as it happens.
Seeing what?
The blood, sir, on the assailant's hands. I think, yes. I'm almost sure that it was on both of his hands, not just one.
What? What? It would appear we're going to need further testimony from your witnesses.
Indeed.
This time I would like, to precisely know what you did and did not see. Do I make myself perfectly clear?
Perfectly.
Ah, sure.
Mr. Naruhodo. This is good news. The course of the trial seems to have shifted slightly at last.
Yes. I might finally have a chance to turn things around here.
You're starting to sound like Kazuma.
Uh,
I'm okay with that.
touching the sword a lot.
What did they really see?
There was blood on both hands of the assailant. I sincerely and distinctly remember that. However, I suppose you might say that I didn't see the exact moment the stabbing transpired. If that matters.
I remember seeing the knife, and I remember seeing both of the attacker's hands with blood on them.
I didn't actually see anything myself, no. And not until I heard the scream.
Anyway, the fact remains there can't have been anyone else inside the carriage, or we all would have seen.
Well, lo and behold, in truth of fact, not one of you was witness to the crucial moment the crime was perpetrated.
I apologize, my lord, but honestly... there was no one else inside the carriage, and the man's hands were covered in blood. That much incriminating evidence is tantamount to saying we saw the man do it.
Tensile strength of this man's fucking jaw.
Yeah, honestly.
He's been nibbling for a while. That's not what the testimony is about.
Let us examine the interior of the omnibus once more. Victim's fresh blood is clearly visible on the seat, corroborating the witness's accounts. In other words, there is no substantial nor significant change in the facts of the case.
Very well. Your cross-examination, please, counsel. Yes, my lord. Alright. No, the evidence tells us otherwise. We have the gloves the defendant was wearing on the night in question in the court record.
But I saw it on both.
I'm well aware of that, sir, but nevertheless, I know what I saw and I stand by it. The man had blood on both his hands.
He's defiant, even in the face of hard evidence. He's steadfastly refusing to admit that he might be mistaken about what he saw. But why?
Reasoning is dire. One hand or two, the salient point remains unchanged. Minutes after the grim crime, the victim's blood dripped guiltily from the accused's fingers.
Don't try to downplay this. Whether or not you saw the exact moment of the crime, it's a matter of fundamental importance as well, you know.
But for crying out loud, we all know that no one else could have possibly have done it. I was just trying to save us all some time.
You have a loan of 20 guineas outstanding with the defendant, do you not?
Tap that paper.
It's a pretty picture here.
Did you hope to release yourself from the financial burden by ensuring the defendant was found guilty?
Yeah. That's not entirely not what I was hoping for. I just lost a little guinea or 10 back when I backed the wrong horse in the derby, that's all. I was going to win it all back. There's a fixture this weekend that's a sure thing.
Yikes. You're a city banker, sir.
A little guinea? Or 10?
I'm a banker. No one bats an eye if I borrow a little spending money for the weekend.
I think you may have revealed rather more about your character than you bargained for, sir.
This witness's scruples are not on trial here. Proceed to the next witness.
Is that really how it's supposed to work?
Seeing the knife, and I remember I'm going to get a voice for this eventually, but I don't even need to do it right now, so...
You definitely saw that too. Blood on both hands.
Yes, sir. I mean, I know what you're going to say. Only one of Mr. McGilded's gloves has any sign of blood on it.
That's right.
The thing is, as far as I remember, sir, when I looked down and saw Mr. McGilded sitting beside the other fellow, I don't believe he was wearing any gloves, sir.
He wasn't wearing these gloves?
That's correct, sir, and I saw the blood on both his bare hands quite clearly.
It's true that the dark-colored stain on the dark leather gloves wouldn't have been easy to see.
I should point out that the police officer who apprehended the accused on the night in question reported that there was no trace of blood on Mr. McGild's gloved hands.
There wasn't blood on his hands? This is puzzling indeed. This might be significant somehow, I'm sure of it.
I didn't actually see anything.
You didn't see anything.
Oh yes, sir. That is to say, no, sir, I didn't. Very sorry about what I said before, sir. Very sorry, yes. It was very wrong of me to make up stories and say I saw someone stab the man. Wouldn't you agree?
Dabs on him.
Get him, Beppo!
I know what you're insinuating, but I certainly wasn't making up stories.
Still, to say you saw nothing isn't right either, is it?
No, sir, I saw nothing at all.
Mr. Beepo, you were driving your horses. At the very least, you might have enjoyed a good view of London streets, no?
The fact that he does like the same poses as Phoenix every once in a while and everything, I love it.
Yeah.
Classic.
Oh, please, you didn't even see that?
It was so cold that night, you see, all I could do. It was all I could do to keep myself from passing out, sir. Yes, my head was fairly frozen solid. Sorry to say, sir.
It would seem prudent to avoid travel on the last omnibus service of London's cold winter nights.
Beepo!
Ah!
His eyes! He has eyes!
He has eyes!
And everything you saw of the incident was through the skylight on the roof of the omnibus?
That's right. It was fiercely cold that night, but the glass wasn't frosted over.
Oh yes, I remember I was shivering. It was so bitter.
Which rather begs the question of why the pair of you were sitting on the roof deck in the first place.
Well, I don't know about this young fellow, but I couldn't enter the cabin.
Oh? Why not?
It was locked from the inside. I tried knocking, but no one opened the door.
It was locked?
That's right. And it's a public bus service, for pity's sake. That's not what I call fair play.
Yes, I had exactly the same experience. I tried knocking, but the gent inside just gestured at me to clear off. So I had no choice but to climb up to the roof deck and look down longingly into the warm cabin below.
Well, I can assure you I wasn't looking down, I was glaring long and hard. That's precisely why I can tell you with absolute confidence that if there was anyone outside at all in the cabin, I would have noticed.
Unequivocal, I would say.
I'm not sure about these two witnesses. Did they have seen everything inside the cabin through the skylight? They might not have been able to. Allow me to confirm one thing, Mr. Fairplay. You were riding this omnibus right here, and witnessed the events in the cabin through the skylight and the floor of the upper deck, is that right?
That's right, yes.
In that case, is there a portion of the cabin interior that would have been out of sight from you?
What?
My golly, really?
Obviously, at this stage, we can't say for sure. But the possibility cannot be denied that at the time of the incident, there could have been another passenger in the enclosed cabin of the omnibus.
Enough hypothetical meandering, my Nipponese friend. Prosecution demands that you substantiate your claims. After all, the scene of the crime is here, in the flesh.
Very well. I will uphold the prosecution's demand. You will identify the area on this cross-sectional plan of the omnibus. Where exactly in the omnibus are you suggesting that this potential extra passenger could have been situated?
So this is the skylight, yes?
Yeah.
Which means that if they were looking inside, they couldn't have been sitting here. They would have had to have been sitting here. They could view this seat, but they couldn't view this seat, correct?
Oh, sounds reasonable.
Wow.
Yeah, it sounds
I should
reasonable to
become
me too.
like the lawyer.
You're a fucking professional. Both rows of seats on the roof face in the direction of travel, whereas the seats in the enclosed cabin face each other. Which means the visible part of the cabin, which passengers on the roof deck can see through the skylight, is as I've drawn here. Ah! Right, my lord. As you can see, the seat opposite the one on which the victim and his attacker were sitting is obscured from view. In other words, if someone had been sitting on that seat, quite possible these witnesses would have been completely unaware of it.
It's quite possible some phantom was sitting there. You Nipponese have a forbidding habit of obscuring the truth with ambiguity.
I concur with the prosecution's rejoinder. In a British court of law, evidence is paramount. Cannot entertain this conjecture, counsel. That is, unless you're able to put a name to this mysterious passenger to whom you allude.
Can we?
I honestly don't know. Who could it have been?
IDK.
Who could have been the other seat outside of the witnesses on the roof deck?
The loiterer.
The- I understand, my lord. The defense would like to put forward a name.
You are a fool.
I am a fool.
Response was a desperate attempt by a man who has no notion of his own limitations. A toast to hard lessons not yet learned.
Cheers.
Let us not delay, counsel. The defense is still to name the passenger in the other seat. This could be it. This could be the chance I've been waiting to turn the trial in my favor. Oh, that night. On the night of the murder. The person occupying the seat in the omnibus cabin that was obscured from view was...
Was it? Is it the defendant?
seat that was obscured from view. But what would that mean?
So we had that whole thing yesterday where we had to correct the jurors about which way the victim was stabbed.
Yes.
And he was stabbed by the person sitting next to them, right?
Yes.
So the person in front of them would be the defendant because we're trying to argue that he didn't do it.
Plus, what would it mean if he was sitting there?
It would mean that, one, he was telling the truth because he told us that he was sleeping, but I don't know what else that would mean.
It means he didn't do it then, yeah?
Means no one saw him.
Ooh.
Passenger in the enclosed cabin that the witnesses on the roof deck failed to see. Has to have been Mr. Magnus McGilded.
Mr. James McGill himself.
Slippin' Jimmy, if you will.
McDonald's?
Mr. McGilded!
What are you talking about, counsel? That's the name of the defendant.
You'll never be Yoda. If I desecrate this chamber by smashing my hollowed chalice, do forgive the discourtesy.
Lord Van Zakes!
People talk of those tiny island nations in the Far East as having a learning and culture of their own, but I see they use the terms ill-advisedly.
What are you trying to say?
You're dumb. Let me explain in terms that even a student of an artless backwater such as yourself might understand. When the bloody scene unfolded, the victim and his assailant were sitting side by side. Multiple witnesses have attested to the facts. It's the very premise on which this case is built.
But that premise may be wrong.
Oh,
If the victim really was sitting beside Mr. McGilded, it creates an inconsistency that can't be reconciled in any way. What inconsistency, counsel? The defendant's gloves, my lord. Both witnesses made the same testimony. They claim that there was blood on both hands of the person sitting next to the victim.
we know the truth to be otherwise. Only one glove bears the gore remains.
The point is, even in the face of this irrefutable evidence, both witnesses have maintained their stance. Yes, their testimony remains unchanged. Exactly, they both adamantly swear that they clearly remember seeing blood on both hands of the assailant. In short, their memory of events is correct, and their testimony reveals the truth. It was somebody else sitting beside the victim that night, a third party we have yet to identify. And the victim's blood was on that passenger's hands, both of them.
And who was this third party?
Obviously, the true culprit. Extraordinary! Order! What exactly are you postulating?
The defense's postulation is just that, nothing more than conjecture. The witnesses have clearly stated that they saw the accused.
But when elaborating on his testimony, Mr. Fairplay said the two of them were wearing hats and I couldn't exactly make out their faces. Yes. The tops of the heads were obscured by the roof. I could see the rest of them though.
Yes, that's right. Both gents were most certainly hatted. Hatters do tend to notice such things, sir.
And what peculiar styles of hats did the two gentlemen sport, Mr. First?
I'm afraid I don't remember.
And you call yourself a hatter?
Ooh.
Style of hats makes no difference. There was no third passenger in that cabin.
How can you be so sure?
Because if there had been, the accused, Mr. McGilded, would undoubtedly have offered to depose the fact. Unless, that is, you are proposing an even more preposterous explanation. The accursed failed even to notice the presence of the true culprit in the very cabin in which he traveled.
Ah. He's right. There was another person traveling in the enclosed cabin on the bus. It's inconceivable that Mr. McGilded would have been unaware of it. Order! It's clearly a simple solution to this problem.
Bring the accused, Mr. McGilded, to the stand.
Well, what say you, counsel?
Prosecution objects, my lord.
On what grounds?
As a suspect, he will have already made a full statement to the police.
But what if there's some reason he was unable to speak freely?
Magnus McGilded is no uneducated ruffian. If it indeed turns out the man has been withholding information, be sure it will have been a most deliberate act.
Counsel for the defense, what is your opinion? My lord, should we ask Mr. McGilded to testify or not?
Demand it.
Demand it!
Yeah, we need to hear what he has to say in order to find out the truth.
The tooth?
The tooth. The defense would like to call Mr. McGilded to the stand.
I have to use the bathroom.
In that case, I would like to hear the opinion of the jury.
Oh, yeah, well, I need a little bit of time to consider this.
If you ask me, I think you should hear what Mr. McGilded has to say.
Get the man out here, I say.
It would be utterly illogical not to hear his testimony.
And something needs done, get it done. That's how I run things at the guild.
Here hearing what the patron of my favorite little park has to say. Oh yes, that would be lovely.
Yeah, the jury says the man must be heard.
Very well. The court will hear the defendant's testimony. Bailiff, show the defendant to the stand at once. Now, maybe what actually happened that night will finally become clear. Let proceedings be resumed. Mr. McGilded, have you been listening to the discourse of the day?
Be sure I have, my lord.
There are now two matters on which the court desires to hear from you. The first is whether or not there was a third party with you in the omnibus cabin as proposed by the defense. The second is that if such a person was indeed present, why did you conceal that fact from the police?
Begad, no, 'tis not in my nature to hide anything at all. Just answer the questions, please. The truth of the matter is, I've been desperate about this all along. Do I tells yez all, or do I keep me mouth shut?
Tell us what, Mr. McGilded?
That I'm Willy fucking Wonka. The fine fella represented me is absolutely right. In the carriage on the night with myself and the other man, there was another passenger.
It's true!
Aye, and 'twas me who helped the little urchin get away after it all happened.
Yikes.
You...
What?
No, Magnus McGilded, that can be an excuse can't save you now. I'm truly sorry, so I am, Lord Van Zakes. I'm sure he'll be wanting to know why I said nothing when I was taken in by the police. I do be having a very good reason, I assure you.
Which was?
Well, the little child was just in the wrong place at the wrong time, and not in any way involved, you see. What? If the police had known the wee one was there, they'd have assumed she'd done it. They'd have hauled her into this here courtroom just like myself. I was only trying to spare her that. Young hearts and young minds are easily damaged, my lord.
And who was this young child of whom you speak?
That I don't know.
You don't know?
Hey, well, the wee ting just happened to be in the carriage that night. I never saw her before or since. We have absolutely no reason to believe this man. Prosecution calls for the witnesses' statements to be disregarded by the court. You know, I wouldn't be surprised. The urchin isn't here in this courtroom as we speak, listening to the proceedings.
What?
No! Fire, Lord!
Stop them trying to get away!
It's no use.
What is going on?
Be careful, Mr. Naruhodo. Cover your face.
Bailiff, don't let the accused escape. Secure the omnibus.
I hereby declare an emergency recess. Ensure the defendant is in custody and clear the courtroom. We were hurriedly removed from the smoke-filled courtroom by the bailiff. Amid scenes of chaos as people stumbled over one another in the desperation to flee the chamber. We had no idea what was happening. All we knew was that, for the time being at least, the trial was suspended.
Oh.
Well.
There's a little bit left of this one. Just a wee bit.
Just a wee bit.
One wee. And one bit.
Wee bit trainer.
Don't bite the trainer.
No, wee bit the trainer.
The trainer.
Sometime later. What on earth just happened in there?
Mr. Naruhodo, I've managed to find out what happened.
Miss Sasato.
I was told it was an advanced form of smoke grenade, a type of exploding device that releases smoke.
A smoke grenade? It sounds like a sort of thing ninjas use.
They're just making sure everything is safe now. I think the trial will start again before long.
But who would have done something like that?
The police managed to catch someone who was trying to flee the courtroom, apparently.
Leave the courtroom. Why?
Well, it's a young girl of around 15, I hear.
A young girl? Then could it be? The other passenger Mr. McGilded was just talking about?
My thoughts exactly.
So he wasn't lying.
That ass can part.
Who wants to become a Mr. McGilded then? There are many things I need to ask him about, but he's not here.
I think he was summoned to the prosecutor's antechamber to answer questions. Along with the young girl.
Who is she? I wonder. And what was she doing here at the trial? She was taking a huge risk, and for what possible benefit to herself?
There's another matter that's troubling me.
What's that?
The 20 pence.
Oh,
According to the coachman, Mr. Beppo, he took 4 passengers that night at a fare of 5 pence each. That comes to a total of 20 pence exactly.
but now it seems as if there were in fact 5 passengers.
Which means the figures don't seem to add up again.
She's right. That is strange. Bailiff. Counsel. The trial will recommence in 5 minutes. Oh, thank you, officer. We'll go in straight away. Very
Well-
demonic of you, officer.
Whoever she is, I imagine this young girl will be asked to take the stand and testify now. I really can't imagine what she's going to say, but it could alter the whole direction of the trial.
We'll know soon enough, Miss Susato.
Yes.
Susato is going to end up murdering someone by the end of the series based on the fact that she has the word sus in her name.
Stop.
She'll do it with a takedown. There's the young girl next to Mr. McGilded. Look. She must have been the one who caused the disturbance before. Well, after the rather eventful recess, the court will now resume the trial. Mr. Magnus McGilded now then, Lord Van Dykes.
My lord?
I believe you have established the cause of the smoke which veiled proceedings earlier?
It seems to have been an advanced form of smoke grenade of the sort typically employed by the army.
Good gracious, the army. What in devil's name?
It was an elaborate attempt by a young girl to cloak her escape from the public gallery, but she was caught. Now occupies the stand.
Your name, girl? Are you responsible for the smoke grenade which caused such pandemonium here in my courtroom? What is the meaning of this deplorable behavior?
Ahem, if I may, my lord.
Yeah, Mr. McGilded?
I think perhaps I ought to explain here why it is that this wee lass was here in the first place and why she tried to bolt like that. It's all tied up with the events of that night, so it is.
Very well, Mr. McGilded, give your testimony. You will explain to the court exactly how this young woman is involved in the case. What did happen that night? It's not like a defense lawyer needs that information or anything.
The night in question, I took the back seat in the omnibus and promptly nodded off. Then, begorra, a loud thud and a wee scream woke me up with a fair start. There was a fella collapsed on the floor at my feet, so I sat him up on the seat across from me. I turned to find out where that scream had come from, and bless my soul, what did I find? There was a child in there all curled up in a ball, hiding her wee self away.
I'm somewhat baffled, I confess, but from what I can gather on the night in question, the young girl was indeed riding in the omnibus, is that correct?
It's exactly as the defense counsel said. This lass was the 5th passenger, my lord.
Very well. The defense may now cross-examine the witness. Are you ready, counsel? Yes, my lord. Or rather, no. I have no idea where to start. And when you first got onto the omnibus, were there any other passengers already on board?
There were not. The cabin was empty, and there was no one on the roof deck either.
You were the first passenger, as it were. I see.
Aye, and that's why I took the back side as I did. Just the most comfortable, so it is.
Could you explain exactly what you mean by the back seat?
By all means, just how you already described it earlier. I'm talking about the seat opposite of the one in which the poor gentleman who was stabbed was sitting. Like I said, 'tis the most comfortable, where I feel most at ease. And of course, I enjoy gazing through the skylight from time to time as well.
A loud thud, you say, and a scream?
That's right. How can I explain it? It was like the sound of someone falling to the ground. That sort of noise.
So you think it was the sound of Mr. Mason falling to the floor having been stabbed?
Well now, you'll remember I was asleep at the time. When the sound woke me and I opened my eyes, there wasn't a soul to be seen in the carriage but the fellow on the floor.
You didn't see anyone. But at the same moment, you did hear a scream. Ah, the seats above you are on the roof deck, I presume.
Not above me, no, my lord. 'Twas from inside the cabin. I wasn't altogether thinking about the scream. No, I was too stunned by the desperate sight before me eyes.
You sat him up? The victim, you mean?
That I did, on the seat across from me, as I said. I could plainly see the poor devil was already gone. You wouldn't leave a dead man just lying on the floor now, would you? It's common courtesy, so it is.
Find that a little hard to believe.
Ara! Ara! Now why would that be?
You wait to find a man lying dead at your feet in the carriage. Any normal person would hail the cabman. Any upstanding member of London society, that is.
Ooh.
Well now, as you know, I'm in something of a special line of business.
The business of lending money at exorbitant rates of interest?
That's the one?
Unfortunately, my lord, not everyone is thankful for the help I offer them. Some would even see me dead. So I do try, where at all possible, to avoid getting myself in a tangle of trouble.
Are you suggesting you were going to leave the man there?
Heavens alive! No, I was intended to report it, so I was. Only, I had a mind of finding out the whys and wherefores first.
The whys and wherefores?
Right you are, there were some details I wanted to understand before anyone else got to meddling. That wee scream I heard, for example. Wouldn't your good self do just the same?
Yes, the scream he says he heard at the time. Was the thud of the victim collapsing? I'm afraid I don't understand. I'm sure you told the court that there was no one else in the carriage except yourself and the victim.
So I did, sir, so I did. As far as I could see, that is.
What do you mean by that?
Well now, 'tis a queer thing, the wee scream I heard as I woke up. It came from, if you'll excuse the vulgar expression, under me backside.
Good gracious! Under your backside?
And when I lifted the seat on which I'd been sitting, I found there was a wee cubbyhole there for storage.
Oh, Mr. Naruhodo, we can examine the omnibus ourselves, remember?
Yes, of course, the whole bus was submitted as evidence.
This would be a very good time to have a thorough look around inside.
And that's when I found her. What? And
Give it a peek.
One peek coming up.
one peek, not that seat, but this seat. Oh.
You missed.
There we go. This seat has a handle, it seems. Winky splinky. There is a storage compartment, but there's nothing in here. It's totally empty. Something doesn't seem right here, but I can't put my finger on what it is. You say she was hiding herself?
That's right. It was hard to see in the dim lamplight, but she was all curled up in a wee ball when our eyes met. Well, my heart nearly stopped beating in my chest.
Yeah, you're really overreacting this.
Still in all, I pulled her out from under there. I sat her on the seat opposite so I could have a wee chin wag with her.
Seat opposite?
That's right, just next to the dead gentleman there.
You sat this young girl next to a corpse, sir?
Joe did?
Well, as I'm sure I mentioned, a gentleman in my position can all too often find himself in mortal danger. So, need to find out just who the surgeon was, you see. I was in the middle of talking with her, I heard another scream, a fella's voice this time.
Presumably that scream was Mr. First, who was sitting on the roof deck seats.
Right you are again, I would say, sir. Looking down through the skylight, you must have seen this young girl and the gentleman with a knife in his belly.
In other words, the previous witnesses did not, in fact, see you at all, Mr. McGilded. What they believed to be yourself and the victim was, in fact, the girl and the late Mr. Mason.
Hey, my lord. It was, as I think everyone understands now, sat at the back of the carriage out of sight.
It is certainly plausible. The defendant is somewhat diminutive in stature. And readily confused, perhaps, with this young girl?
After that, of course. With the scream from the gentleman over us, the driver realized something was wrong and pulled up the horses.
Thank you. I've heard enough.
I'm done with this.
The events as explained clear my mind, however, at least one conundrum remains. Who is the girl?
Her name is Gina Lestrade, my lord. She's a chancer, earns a crust among large crowds, relieving people of their purses. What's commonly called a pickpocket.
What? This girl here? A petty thief? Order! Order! Is this true, Miss Lestrade? Miss Lestrade, you will answer the question.
I'll shoot you.
Ah! How dare you? What is the meaning of this? Oh, the girl? She's gone.
Open your eyes. I'm over here.
Good gracious. How? What was the point in that little sidestep?
I know what you lot are thinking. Grown-ups are all the same. This dirty little dipper, you'll say, slipped up and got caught up on the job. She got herself backed into her corner, so she knifed the gent. Come on, that's what's in your heads, ain't it?
No, not at all. This is a court of law. We're here to determine the truth, not cast...
Fart gun.
Now you're stinky.
Look, knives are for cowards. Only thugs use weapons like that. All I need for what I do is these fingers. I'm a professional, alright? Maybe not in your eyes, but I got pride in what I do.
Let me guess. You don't count smoke guns among weapons for thugs?
Oh, this? Yeah, this was in the bag I lifted the other day down where they keep the four-wheel drags. It's nice, isn't it? I like the pink best.
Do not wave that thing in my direction again.
So, you admit that you were riding the omnibus on the night in question.
It's alright, lass. You can tell them the truth now.
Alright, yeah. It's just like the Irishman said.
The court accepts this girl, Miss Gina Lestrade, as a valid and significant witness in the case. Accordingly, young lady, we will now hear your testimony, if you please. You will tell the court exactly what happened on the omnibus on the night in question.
If I have to.
Right, start of this testimony. Oh, be right back.
I will do the same. The shortest of be right backs. Boop. Alright,
We back.
we back.
Oh,
Weeba.
Oh, have I? Nope, I haven't done this yet. So I stepped inside the carriage before they looked up the horses, just like always. But it wasn't real waste time. I got nothing to show for me troubles last night. I see that Navi,
Needs to be ejected.
he snuck her way in here.
just like Gina.
Just like Gina. I'll tell you, you can't see a blind thing in that hiding place. It's pitch in there. Then after a while, I heard this loud bang. Nearly jumped out of me skin, I did. And the scream just came out. It's because of that this swell found me. He helped me get away, mind.
Yes, he let you go.
I fail to understand why you would let this street urchin go, Mr. McGilded.
Oh, to simplicity itself, my lord. You see, she couldn't possibly have killed the other passenger. I knew that for a fact.
How?
As I'm sure I said before, sir. I was sitting right on top of the place where she was hiding herself. I think
I think a demonstration is called for.
Yo, I also read that in his voice.
This is where I was sat that night.
And the cubbyhole of which you have spoken is underneath the seat, I presume? Yes, it does appear just large enough to accommodate someone of the girl's stature.
Aye, but of course the wee lass was stuck in there. Because I'd parked myself on the seat for the duration.
Ah,
So you see, that's why I let the lass boat. I knew that if the police found her there, they'd automatically assume she'd done it.
I don't know about that.
But I couldn't live with myself if her young life was ruined when all the time I knew she was innocent.
even though you must have realized your action would result in your own innocence being called into question?
Not at all, my lord, not at all. I knew in my own heart that I was innocent. So I thought it was worth taking a punt on my own good name for the sake of this less fortunate lass.
My goodness.
Oh, the perfect gentleman.
My lord! This fine example man cannot be guilty of such a heinous crime like that? I'm ashamed of myself for ever doubting you, sir.
With calm, calculated reasoning, one arrives clearly at the truth every time.
seats alive. All 6 members of the jury consensual in their leaning of a verdict of not guilty?
Mr. Naruhodo, this... Well, it must mean
Must mean what?
that we're victorious.
We've won? Are you sure?
Oh, mama! Excuse me. Wow, that is, Well, I'll be damned. The sight of my iron-heeled Wellington offends. Pray do forgive the discourtesy.
It is fine.
Yo, it's fine as fuck, my dude.
Oh, even she thinks so.
This really is a consummate example of the one monumental flaw in British judicial practices, where evidence and reasoning should be paramount. Emotion rules the day.
Emotion.
The witness's latest statement gives us a clear insight into his true nature.
What do you mean, his true nature?
Really think Scotland Yard would have made such a glaring omission? After the incident, the omnibus was comprehensively searched by officers of the police. Obviously, the interior of this cubbyhole, as the witness put it, was included in their investigation. The compartment under the posterior seat was full of the coachman's belongings. It's noted in black and white here in the police report.
Good lord.
Evidence has been tampered with. In order to corroborate Mr. McGild's story, someone has unlawfully removed everything from under the seat.
That's right, there was stuff under there when we looked the other day, huh?
Yeah.
Something else in there is different too.
Order, order! How could such a devious contrivance possibly have been effected, counsel?
You can't just say that.
Well, let's open the door.
Going in.
Open the door again.
You
on
said
the
that
floor.
something else was weird.
Alright. So... Okay, I thought there were 2 compartments. It's just the one. 2 things have changed. The bloodstain is still there.
Hmm.
And on the inside... empty. Was the bloodstain on the
Oh.
floor?
There was not a bloodstain on the floor before.
That's blood, isn't it?
Is something wrong?
Oh, it's just, well, this bloodstain is so obvious, that's all. And yet Van Zeeks has made no mention of it.
I suppose that does seem a little strange.
Why do I have such a bad feeling about this?
Well, damn.
Darn.
That little girl, I assume, planted evidence and tried to make a run for it. I think.
Is that your working theory?
Naturally, we must acknowledge the deficiencies of the constabulary in allowing this to have happened. However, I assure you, when the omnibus was wheeled into the courtroom this morning, the compartment under the seat was not empty. Well, my Nipponese friend,
Me?
when the carriage was submitted as evidence, doubtless you examined it in fine detail, as would any self-respecting practitioner of the law.
Damn good thing we're self-respecting practitioners of the law, huh?
Pray, what did you find the condition of the under-seat compartment to be? Oh, to be sure, the young gentleman will be able to clear this up in a jiffy.
What?
Go ahead, you tell the court now, fella. How this is all an elaborate excuse by the desperate Lord Van Zeeks.
Well, counsel, do you have something to say on the matter?
How am I supposed to answer? What can I say about the state of the little compartment under the seat in the omnibus?
wasn't empty.
It was not empty.
I really don't know if giving this answer is helping my cause as a counsel for the defense. As far as I remember, at least. I first examined the compartment. I'm fairly certain there were a number of articles inside it, yes. Are you sure, counsel?
Anna, be whisked. What are you saying now, you daft daw? I thought you were on my side here.
What game are you playing? Your task is to defend the man in the stand.
Damn, what game are we playing?
Why would you say something to compromise this position? I thought you were an ace attorney.
The Great Ace Attorney, Chronicles, Adventure, Part 1. Is the advocate for the defense in this trial. I confess I'm still not entirely sure where I stand, but it seems to me that I should state what facts I do know as clearly and honestly as possible.
Interesting.
Trying to make you proud, Pops.
It's not altogether pleasing, fella.
I'm simply telling the truth, Mr. McGilded.
Well, don't forget that you're supposed to be representing my best interest here, lad. Now then. A fella's memory is a curious thing, not altogether reliable, nor the court must consider the facts.
I'm really glad I didn't read too much into that, because I was like, is he reading like a news article? And it's just a walkthrough.
Yeah, just to gauge where we are.
That there cubby hole under the seat is as empty as the devil's heart, so it is. Do you think perhaps it would be in your best interest now to admit that you might have been mistaken?
Why do I feel like something's not right here? I should like to see the jury weigh in on this matter, I think.
The compartment is designed to house equipment used to maintain the smooth running of the carriage. The guild rules states the omnibus should be properly and fully equipped at all times. Well, it certainly wouldn't have been empty on the night in question. Nepo isn't that irresponsible. That money-lending fleecer and the pickpockets are lying.
Ah,
I can't believe I was nearly taken in. Stinking rich are always stinkers, nothing but cowards, the lot of them.
what? Oh no.
Oh, hello, friend.
Hey Gabe, we're finishing up a case here. How you doing?
Gabe, I hope you had a good stream tonight. I hear it's your 1-year stream
Oh, yeah.
anniversary.
Oh, congratulations.
Congrats.
Hope you're enjoying Paper Mario.
Indeed.
Uh-oh.
We don't like it when it leans to the left. Quite so. I must concur here.
We are good, thank you.
Yes,
Pleasant
indeed.
evening.
With calm, calculated reasoning, one arrives clearly at the truth every time.
It's just that every fucking
Every
Every
fucking
fucking time.
time.
A different truth.
I see that Van Zeeks also has a sword.
Hey,
Sir, do you
does.
wanna...
touch swords.
cross the little sword, little.
Hey.
My lord, I humbly exhibit the scales of justice. Clearly, a verdict of not guilty at this time would be wholly inappropriate.
Thank you, counsel. But before we proceed any further, there is a matter of the outstanding cross-examination. Counsel for the defense, begin your questioning of the witness, please. Yes, my lord. What just happened? The whole balance of this trial has shifted almost beyond recognition. The Reaper of the Bailey is at work, it would seem.
Do you see it just barely?
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
I want him to step on me.
With his big boot.
His big boot.
So, you were already in the omnibus before it even set off on its run?
Well,
yeah, I mean, what's the point of spending the Joey to make a few bob, eh? That's a rum idea, isn't it?
I suppose she means there's no point in spending money to make money. It actually makes sense. Counsel, may I remind you that this girl is a petty thief. Kindly refrain from entertaining her tenants.
Oh, that does clear up the little mystery of the fares and all. 4 paying passengers at 5 pence apiece, making the 20 to which the cabman testified. And 1 little scapegrace riding for free.
The red conch of a driver always goes for some grub before his last run, see? So that's when I slip in the garage and get myself hidden under the seat. Nice and easy, right?
Your hiding place is a storage compartment, full of equipment for the coach. No?
Yeah, there's brushes and buckets and whatnot down there, sure. I always chuck all that out and cram it in a corner somewhere. No one ever seems to bother much.
Yet, according to the report filed by the police officer who first arrived at the scene, the apartment was full of such paraphernalia.
Well, I don't know nothing about that. Like I said, I moved all that stuff out so I could hide under the seat. That's all I can tell you.
It seems we've reached the end of that line of inquiry. Continue. A waste of time? Why is that?
Well, most nights I'm on my own and the God permit at least some of the time.
I beg your pardon. Did you say God permit?
Oh yeah, well, that's what my kind call it. You'd say the omnibus, I suppose. The point is, any normal run, the carriage ain't got no one in it for a while.
And that's when you came out of your hiding place to get away.
That's it. Only that night. This cove was sat on me seat from the start. And he didn't even budge the whole way, did he? Not 1 inch. I was totally stuck.
Do you mean to tell us that you were present in the carriage for the duration? You were under the seat the entire time while events unfolded in the enclosed cabin.
Yeah. Right, mister?
To be sure, I was shocked as anyone. You don't expect to lift the cushion you've been sat on and find a child now, do you?
So Miss Lestrade couldn't possibly be the culprit then.
Unless...
So you couldn't see and out into the cabin at all?
Not a jot. Most days I push the cushion up with me head and look out the crack. Then I can have a butcher's at who I'm gonna fiddle.
I thought you were a pickpocket, not a butcher.
I mean, I can have a look. The seat I get under ain't as plush as the other one, see? So most of the time, the passengers plant himself opposite. But for some reason that night, this here Irishman spent the whole journey right over me head.
And for that reason, you weren't able to push the cushion up to peek out, I see!
Truth is, I ain't too happy in the small dark places. Feels too much like being thrown in the clink. But it's the only place to hide in the carriages, so it's Opson's choice.
Doesn't she just stick to picking people's pockets in the open then? I'd say there's some reason she's not letting on, judging from her demeanor.
So anyways, I was a bit scared, but I had to stick it out under there, nothing else for it.
When you say a loud bang, do you mean the noise of someone falling to the floor?
Could have been, I suppose. I don't remember so well. Point is, it made me jump.
And you let out a scream, involuntarily?
That's right. And then I felt the cushion over me head get lighter all of a sudden.
Presumably, when the defendant got up in order to help the victim, yes.
Or not. Could equally have been the moment the accused stood in order to stab his victim, could it not?
Well, girl, did you see what happened at that crucial moment?
Yeah, I saw it. I pushed up the cushion, had quite a quick butcher's while I had the chance, didn't I? Irishman was sitting up the bloke what had fallen on the seat on the seat opposite. That matches Mr. McGilded's account, of course. But then, the fella suddenly turned around and looks right at me. I sunk back down again, but it was too late by then. I should never have risked looking.
This fuck found me.
And when Mr. McGilded discovered you, he pulled you out from your hiding place?
I was scared stiff, I was. He dragged me out and sat me down on the seat and all.
Next to the victim, Mr. Mason?
Yeah, the bloke got a knife in his guts. He was still bleeding. Then the carriage lurched a bit, and he ended up falling onto me. Ugh, how awful. Both me hands got covered in blood. It made me feel sick as a dog.
Both our hands covered in blood? That must be what the rooftop passengers saw. After that, I believe you talked with Mr. McGilded for a while, is that correct?
He asked me some stuff. Wanted to know me name and what I was up to and that. Then I heard something from up above. Someone screamed.
Ah, yes, Mr. First on the roof deck, one would presume.
Well, I didn't want no one seeing me face, so I didn't look up. Then the horses were drawn up smartish, and this here Irishman said to me, "Get back under the seat. I see that you can get away later." All 6 members of the jury have decided the defendant was innocent.
For one brief shining moment, yes.
It's clear they are all still very unsure.
Oh, don't so.
If we could find some conclusive piece of evidence among the new testimony, I'm sure we would clinch the verdict we want.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I have this feeling.
That's a feeling, alright.
Something's bothering me, but I just can't quite put my finger on it.
So, question.
Yeah.
Is the evidence that we have to present the bloodstain on the floor?
I don't think yet.
Not yet?
I think it's going to be one of those cases where we present something, they're going to bring something up.
Then they're gonna have to... What's the word? Testimonies? Again.
Because that corroborates that, stuff was changed inside of the cabin,
Yes.
which is not what we're currently going to be able to prove, immediately, I think.
Yeah, not quite yet.
If the fellow still had the knife in his stomach, then, should he, not have been bleeding out all over the place?
The knife wasn't pulled out, right? In the photo, it's still in there.
Right, right.
It's pitch in there. Here, I'm gonna tell you what to do because the game is currently doing something I don't like when the Ace Attorney games do.
So what is the Ace Attorney game doing?
Press the third statement.
Oh, where it makes you press a statement twice.
Yeah, it makes you do one, but then come back to another one.
Oh, I hate that.
Yeah. Because there's not really a way to know. So you couldn't see out into the cabin at all?
Not a jot. Most days I push the cushion up with my head and look out at crap. Then I can have a butcher's at home and go fiddle.
I thought you were a pickpocket, not a butcher.
I look.
Yeah.
All this.
Nani?
Hmm.
Can I help you?
What you fucking laughing at?
Is something wrong, Mr. McGilded?
Oh, I do apologize. Was there something the matter, Counsel?
I'm just wondering if Miss Lestrade's last statement made something occur to you, perhaps? You seemed to be thinking something to yourself.
Oh, no, 'twas not unimportant. I was feeling bad for the poor lass is all. Remember feeling desperate myself as a young lad. Shut up in the dark, 'twas terrifying, so it was.
I see. I'm sure we can all sympathize. I'm still scared of the dark now.
Aye, and I don't know about yourself, but I find that the darkness seems to make everything you hear seem that much louder as well.
Yeah. I suppose it does, maybe.
Miss Lestrade? Did you hear something that night? Anything, an unusual noise, perhaps?
Nah, not really. All I could hear was the Irishman snoring.
But Jabbers, there's no need to tell the whole world of me foibles, you little scamp.
What a pity. If only Miss Lestrade had heard something, it might have given us a vital new clue.
Yeah. What should we make of that last statement of hers?
Profound importance!
Fucking sound. My lord! I believe the statement just made the witnesses profoundly important. Profoundly important, but all she said was that she heard nothing. Yeah, which is profoundly important. I'm almost sure of it. I'm almost sure that I don't understand the inner workings of your Eastern Mind Council, nevertheless. Miss Gina Lestrade, you will supplement your formal testimony by repeating that last statement, please.
What? Supplement? What are you on about? Don't give me all your fancy talk. I know what you're trying to do. Well, it won't work on me.
That's right. Insult the judge, always a good move.
I was straining my ears to work out what was going on, but all I could hear was snoring.
So you were straining to hear what was happening the entire time since the moment you hid yourself?
Not exactly, no.
Sorry?
Well, there was no one in the cabin to start with. I could just push the cushion up and have a butcher's to see what was what. But then when I saw the swell getting on, I got me head down so he didn't notice me.
And Mr. McGilded sat on the seat under which you were hiding, correct?
Yeah! Would you in have any of it, eh? What a mug! Then all I could do was listen. I was waiting to jump out of there as soon as I heard him leave, see? But would he? Not likely. Even though we stopped here and there, I never heard the door open. So I just had to stay put and listen to him driving his pigs to the market, snoring like an old dog he was.
Are there any conclusions we can draw from that, I wonder? What you thinking?
Doesn't add
It
up.
doesn't add up. She would have heard the door open at least once.
This is clearly at odds with the fact. At odds? Are you sure, man? Absolutely.
Seems my learned Nipponese friend is not as dull-witted as I feared.
Though Van Zykes realized it too. Counsel, I must insist that you bolster your claim with evidence or some complicit party's name at the very least. Yes, my lord. I expect you to demonstrate this alleged contradiction to the court. According to Miss Lestrade, whilst she was hiding in the omnibus that night, she heard nothing but the sound of Mr. McGilded snoring. But think, Ryunosuke, think! There's something else she should have heard.
Person? Question mark?
She was in the seat, Mr. McGilded sat on it, and then what happens?
Then the mason.
Then the mason does what?
He gets on board. Should we go after that? Should we continue about what else she could have potentially heard? The knocking on the door twice?
Well, I think you're on the right track. Allow me to elaborate on a particular sound that Miss Lestrade could not have failed to hear on the night in question. The presence of the following person clearly explains the sound.
Rice fired.
Right, so it could be either one of these two knocking, or it could be him entering the cabin.
You are correct. But what's most important?
The victim.
Rice fired, Mason. Yes, my lord. A sound that Miss Lestrade cannot have failed to hear. Is that of the victim, Mr. Mason, boarding the omnibus. Order! Explain your reasoning, counsel. Miss Lestrade, allow me to confirm something. You claimed earlier you were the first person on board the omnibus. Is that correct?
Yeah, of course I was. I got on whilst the driver was in the pub, didn't I?
And the next person to board the omnibus was Mr. McGilded?
Like it was, not a soul was in the cabin when I climbed aboard. He's not in plain sight.
So you were, to all intents and purposes, alone in the enclosed cabin of the omnibus at that time.
I'll just say as much, I wasn't traveling with anyone else, if that's what you mean.
Yeah, I saw him get on, remember? Through the crack under the seat cushion. He was on his own for sure.
And, from what we've heard, the carriage made a number of stops after that on the onward journey. During which time, did you not hear the door opening or closing at all?
Nah, I never heard it. That's exactly what I was listening for, weren't it? Waiting for this swell to leave.
In which case, when and how did the victim end up in the carriage? Ah! We know that the victim collapsed inside the enclosed cabin of the omnibus. Therefore, Miss Lestrade's statement about what she did or did not hear is at odds with the facts. Lord Van Zykes! Yes, he knew. He knew all too well that there was an inconsistency in Miss Lestrade's statement.
It seemed words of thanks are in order for my learned friend.
What are you talking about?
You have demonstrated matters impeccably. This witness and her colorful statements are entirely unreliable. Her words are convenient untruths, nothing more.
Is that right?
How could the victim possibly not have boarded the omnibus?
Makes no sense whatsoever.
This goes in my pocket, let's not forget that.
She didn't even say anything.
I didn't want to judge the little dear.
The dear little mite just because she has some rather naughty ways. But I must say, I can't abide liars.
And neither can I.
Mr. Foreman,
I don't want to judge the girl just because she has some less than salubrious ways. But I must say, I cannot abide liars.
Mr. Naruhodo, thus 5 jury members leaning towards guilty.
Well, your consideration for others is refreshing, my Nipponese friend. To the considerable troubles you have spared me. Yes, very refreshing. Ah, what are you playing at? Have you forgotten who you're working for, you useless Eastern Amadan? This is carnage, it's perfect!
juror number 2 is the only one left.
Mr. Naruhodo, the way this is going.
I know. If we can't find some new way to convince everyone of Mr. McGilded's innocence, the judge will rule and will have lost.
I very much wanted to believe the words of one of London's most respected gentlemen. But those of us in service know we must accept hard truths.
Yes, the witness's last statement seems to have revealed a critical inconsistency in her story. However, if we consider the possibility that her statement is in fact the truth, it may shed an entirely new light on this whole case.
What are you saying? Counsel?
I'm sorry, sir. Whatever do you mean?
Counsel, I will not tolerate you attempting to prorogue my adjudication. Explain yourself at once.
When the accused boarded the omnibus on the night in question, the victim was nowhere to be seen. Subsequently, the carriage door was not heard opening a single time, as testified by the witness in the stand.
And yet the victim's body was found inside the carriage.
If this petty thief's words are to be believed, how do you explain the victim's miraculous appearance inside the cabin of the omnibus?
There's only one way to explain how the victim came to be inside the carriage.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. So, like, maybe his body was the thing stuffed inside. She got in normally, and helped cover it up. There's a lot of inconsistencies there, though.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's another entrance. He was either in there beforehand, or he was put in there after he died.
What do you think?
I also don't think that there's another entrance. And I don't think he was in there already, but I don't think he was. I don't.
I'm gonna go with my immediate gut feeling before I saw these and see he was put there
Cool.
after he died.
Obviously, the victim must have been placed in the carriage after he was killed.
Tell me, my learned friend, what was the function of that obviously in your last sentence?
Well said, Lord Van Sykes. He obviously is troubling me also. No. That's really not the point. The point is that the victim must have been moved into the carriage afterwards.
And answer me this. How could a cadaver have been placed inside a moving carriage?
Well, I shall have to penalize the defense heavily.
So immediately after doing that, I realized my mistake because he paid the fee.
Yeah.
A corpse isn't gonna pay a fucking fee to get on the omnibus.
True.
I must learn to ramble more relevantly.
Penalty is evidently not heavy enough, judging from those Nipponese eyes, so I ask you again. If this petty thief's words are to be believed, how do you explain the victim's miraculous appearance inside the cabin of the omnibus? Before anything else happens, I'm fucking saving.
Smart.
Judge, do you honor Tatesie's back fees?
So then, if neither of us think there's another entrance,
Clearly, he was in there already from beforehand.
What do you mean by clearly?
tell me, my learned friend,
Oh my
the function of that
God.
clearly. Is there another entrance?
Look at the omnibus. Well said, Lord Van Sykes. Yeah. He did it again!
Damn.
Fucking really?
Was it
Going
from
to-
the seat?
From the roof? Is that a latch I see there?
He vented.
He fucking vented. There's a secret button where it says Phoenix Wright in reference to the first game. Guess he could go in from the top.
You know what? We're gonna pick the third answer, and they're gonna be like, actually.
What do you mean by obvious? Penalize? Never in my life.
Never.
Loser.
We've never answered these questions wrong.
We've never been penalized in 40 years. Alright, guys, for real this time.
For real.
If the door wasn't open even once, the only explanation is that the victim entered the enclosed cabin via some other way.
I wondered what new fantasy you could come up with in your blind panic.
I was wondering it too.
But behold, the omnibus is here for all to see. Only one side of the enclosed cabin is furnished with a door, the other has only windows, fixed windows, which cannot possibly open. In short, there's no entrance to the cabin other than the door.
But there could be. There's only one possibility you haven't considered.
Oh, really?
Yeah, one other way inside that isn't the door. Another opening, the use of which allowed the victim to appear inside the enclosed cabin. Alright, counsel. The defense will identify the location for the court. Here is the omnibus in which the incident occurred. Where on earth is the entrance which you proposed the victim into the cabin?
Skylight?
That's my guess. Gotta get it right on there.
Just to be safe. The answer is obvious. There can only have been the skylight. I say the skylight.
Your ludicrous proposal almost has me lost for words. However,
The skylight may have been large enough for someone to pass through.
so you claim, but do you have a shred of evidence to support your addled brain theory?
Both Mr. McGilded and Miss Lestrade said the same thing in their testimonies. They each claimed to have heard a loud thud, such as the noise made by someone falling to the floor. Yes, which has already been explained. It's the sound of the victim falling from a seat and having been assaulted with the dagger. Yes, it has, but would a man flipping from the seat onto the floor really have made such a loud noise as the witnesses described? A noise loud enough to cause Miss Lestrade to let out an involuntary cry? In fact, good gracious. Perhaps, in fact, that was the moment the victim made his entrance into the cabin. No, let me rephrase that. The victim didn't enter the cabin as such. He fell into it.
You're now suggesting the victim fell from the skylight into the cabin. That's simply impossible.
How can you be so sure?
Because if the victim had fallen inside through the skylight as you say, the passengers on the roof deck would have seen it happen. And yet, not one person made mention of such events in their testimony.
Well, yeah, that's true, but...
Right, a humble fella, make a wee comment here.
Mr. McGilded.
To be sure now, the two fellows who were sat on the roof that testified afore said nothing of the victim falling into the skylight. But it seems to me, my lord, that 'tis not so much a case of them not saying, but... Aye. It's a case of them being unable to say.
What?
I think perhaps the two fellas do be having something of a compelling reason not to mention what happened. Would you not agree, fine ladies and gentlemen of the jury?
Hmm.
Oh my goodness, surely not.
Those two chaps on the roof?
They mean the ones who stuck the knife in the man were... Just what exactly are you insinuating here, you blitherer?
You rotter! He said, you rotter! What are you insinuating?
This is a flaming outrage. I have a good mind to give you a blinker in a minute.
I will give you a shiner in a minute, he said, and so will I.
What the fuck kind of
Fair
dance is
play.
that?
It's the I'm not suspicious dance. You're effectively accusing me, a city gentleman and well-respected banker.
I'm me, a very angry hatter.
Suggesting that someone like me could have stabbed that man in the guts. It's a disgrace. It's scandalous. I'm gonna nibble. I protest in the strongest possible terms.
That's right, I protest too about you, you rotten scoundrel.
Order! This is not the time, witnesses. I will not permit this wanton invasion of the stand. Return to the anteroom at once. But this is beyond reason, my lord, and it's outrageous.
It's very hurtful, you know.
Lord, if I may comment,
Go ahead, Lord Van Zykes.
it was the defense that incited this outburst from the witnesses. My learned friend has seen fit to abandon all protocol and accuse the witnesses without proof.
Accuse? I never intended to.
It seems, young Nipponese, that your command of the English tongue is wanting. Let me show you. You propose to this court that the victim fell through the skylight from the roof deck of the omnibus. That hypothesis cannot possibly stand without the rooftop passengers being aware of the events. You have branded these gentlemen liars, you have intimated their criminal guilt. Our British courts of law, that is what is termed a baseless accusation.
I know I was rash to put this idea forward without any actual evidence, but you can't just dismiss it without a second thought.
What are we waiting for? Get them to testify.
I thought there was something fishy about Hack from the moment I laid my eyes on the fella. We have to see this matter through now, one way or the other.
If there's filth and rubbish in our midst, we must dispose of it at once. Testify, testify. What the fuck is going on?
The spectators in the public gallery they're in a frenzy.
Mr. Fairplay, Mr. First. My lord. You will take the stand again and make another formal testimony in reference to the indictment brought by the defense. Yes, my lord.
I didn't come here for this.
How many more testimonies are
This
left?
is the last one.
Last one? Excellent.
There's no time to talk, all I can do is keep pushing forward.
We were the only two people on that roof deck. 5, I can swear to that.
Anything had happened while we were sitting, don't you think one of us would have noticed?
In any case, neither of us know the first thing about the victim. We have no reason to kill the man.
That's a lie.
The skylight was shut the entire time, I tell you. We couldn't possibly have opened it.
If you're so sure the victim fell through the skylight, where's your proof?
I must say that on listening to this testimony, it is somewhat hard to imagine. The witness would have performed any malevolent act on this open rooftop deck, without the other noticing forthwith.
That's right, you see?
We're innocent, I tell you.
Although logically, of course, the argument falls down if the two of you were in collusion with one another.
What?
According to investigations by Scotland Yard, the two witnesses share no common dealings.
Well, I don't trust. I
don't trust coppers any more than I trust the stinking rich.
Something doesn't feel right here. The trial is going in our favor, really. So why do I feel so uneasy? Counsel for the defense, over to you. Your cross-examination, please. Oh yes, my lord.
Are you biting your nails, Nick?
Look, but-
No. No, you're not.
How about the victim? Shoot.
So at no time did the victim, Mr. Mason, climb up to join you on the roof deck. Absolutely not, Dickon.
No question about it, he said. None at all. Oh, but yes, of course. I remember seeing them both. I saw the victim inside the enclosed cabin talking with this man here.
Is this true, Mr. McGilded?
Dear me, my lord, at the risk of repeating myself, I boarded the omnibus alone and nodded off inside almost immediately.
This is an outright lie. Without doubt, you were engaged in...
Let me stop you there, fella, and ask, do you have any evidence at all? At all? It's all about evidence in the courts these days, so it is. You do well to remember that.
I saw you with my own eyes! This is going so well.
So well.
Well, it was on the final run of the omnibus at past 10 o'clock in the evening. It would have certainly been quite dark, perhaps too dark to see clearly. Is it some kind of a lock?
Is this some kind of a joke, he said? Is that what this is?
Or perhaps one or the other of you fell asleep briefly? Are you bad dinkum, sir?
You serious, sir? That's what he says. It's impossible, I tell you.
I'd give you the keys to the vault if you could fall asleep in that bit of cold. And if you did manage it, your eyelids would freeze and you'd never open them again. That's extreme.
It was extreme, I tell you, and we had to put it up with it because this man had locked the door. Any true gent would have unlocked it and let me in when I knocked. Dreadfully sorry about that, young fella, but you see, I was away with the fairies and didn't hear ye at all. That's a lie. I saw you through the glass. You were talking to someone.
Now, it was a cold night, so it was. People do be seeing things that aren't real in the cold. It's hardly surprising.
Seeing things? Seeing things?
I believe we have reached an impasse here on this particular point.
You.
Don't take it personally now, lad. I'm a suspect in this case, then 'tis only fair that you and the other fiend are too. Open and free competition is what a capitalist society is all about.
This isn't a competition I should like to be involved in, really.
So you had never met Mr. Thrice-Fired Mason before? Oh, Lumen! No! Not once! Never!
He never met the man before, he said. Never.
And you, Mr. First, had no prior dealings with the victim either?
That's right, sir. I just don't have much to do with the Brickmasters, to be perfectly honest.
No, I imagine not. You see, how many different ways can I put this? Neither of us has the remotest connection to the gentlemen who were inside the cabin.
Whoa! What's up with that?
Sumimasen, Mr. McGilded.
Mr. McGilded, yes.
Yes, Counsel. What can I be doing for you?
Did the witness's last statement give you pause for thought somehow?
Not the remotest connection? Is that right now? I wonder.
What are you insinuating now?
Mr. Fairblade, it has been too long, so it has.
Eh?
I'm not very much mistaken. I believe 'tis fast approaching, is it not, your repayment date?
I beg your pardon.
Hey, you borrowed 20 guineas from me, sir.
An unconscionable rate of interest. You tricked me. It's extortion.
Well, now, is that a touch of begrudgery, is it? A sort of begrudgery that might motivate a fellow to pass his crime off on another?
Ah,
Young Mr. First.
Me, sir? What do you want with me, sir?
You do be making hats for a living, do you not? Is that there top hat sliding about on your head? Is that one of your own creations, is it?
Oh, well, I'm still just an apprentice, you understand. Going to find the perfect fit for whatever fine gent walks through the door. The perfect fit, is it? Well, 'tis a very distinctive design, so it is.
I thought so too.
Many customers like it, I tell you. They like a distinctive touch. Customers such as thrice-fired Mason. Ah! There was a photographic print of the victim submitted as evidence, my lord.
Hmm? Oh, this you mean?
Same hat.
Yeah.
Can't help thinking that the poor fellow's hat looks distinctly familiar, wouldn't you say? Oh! That's one of my hats! Aye, that it is. So it would seem the Brickmaster was a customer of yours. A sort of customer, I'd wager. You could have had a wee quarrel with over the distinctiveness of the goods. Oh, no, sir. Absolutely not, sir. Well, that's really not more to add. Wouldn't be right to say that the two fellows here have it the remoteness connection to the victim you see. I rest my case.
You weasel! Ah!
He's been better at this than I am.
Gosh, Mr. McGilded has certainly been thorough in his research, hasn't he?
Please, don't let me little interruption hold up the proceedings.
Hot Hunter.
Are you quite certain about that? That the skylight was shut the entire time?
I'm going to lose my block with you in a minute.
He's going to lose his brag with you in a minute, that's what he said.
Take a look for yourself. Go on. You see? It's fast shut now, like it was on the night.
Though it is, of course, a fellow the size of Mr. Mason would likely break right through. Still and all.
What?
Just looking at the size of the thing, you understand?
Ah, now you hold on there a minute, sir. The size of the thing means nothing. Not on its own. Let's consider the bigger picture here, shall we?
Let's stop biting our cane, shall we?
I was riding the omnibus on another occasion when, well, I broke wind loudly. I shot myself with it as it happens.
I pooted. This is an unexpected confession, Mr. First.
It ain't a first.
Oh, I just mean to say, the point is, I tried to open the skylight, you see. But, just my luck, I couldn't make it budge. The stench was terrible. Everyone was looking daggers at me, sir. I went as red as the rogue, I did.
Are you expecting me to sentence you?
Oh, no, sir. The point is, the skylight can't be open. I tried and tried when I was inside that cavern of shame. What's up?
Do you have something to say about that, Miss Lestrade? Miss Lestrade.
It opens.
Hmm?
The skylight. That's what we're talking about here, right? All those skylights open dead easy.
More easily than you can load that weapon?
That's a lie, I tell you. Otherwise, when I broke wind, I...
You can't do it from inside, you mug.
Oh!
Look, a few weeks ago I was up on the roof deck of one of them drags. And I had a great haul. I mean, I had purses coming out of me ears.
Miss Lestrade, this is not the form to be eulogizing on the subject of your criminal activities.
Well, anyway, I had a bit of a scare. When I lifted the last bloke's purse, he got wise to me. All four of them surrounded me, so I couldn't stop the bus and leg it. So what I did was I used the skylight, opened the catch, and jumped right through.
What?
Yeah, the catch on the skylights is on the top side. That's why you can't open them from the cabin.
Skylight opens from the roof deck? Bailiff!
Climb on the roof! Verify the claim!
Wow.
Ah!
Oh, my hat!
Told ya.
Order! 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 So it appears this street girl's statement is quite true.
I don't believe it. The skylight opens? From the roof deck?
Mr. Naruhodo. This could be the clue we've been looking for.
Well, counsel for the defense, please continue with your cross-examination.
So the skylight opens? Perhaps I should investigate for myself.
Nick?
Yeah.
We're supposed to present the omnibus and the
No, examine it for yourself.
examine the
Yeah,
omnibus.
give it another little look now that
Now that it can open.
we know it can open. So the skylight was fastened shut before.
But now the catch has been undone, we should be able to open it.
You can certainly see inside the carriage through this opening, that's for sure.
Yes, and there's a lamp in the enclosed cabin. So I'm sure the witnesses would have been able to see quite clearly.
That's not good for us. Go back inside of it real quick.
Going in!
Yeah, examine that real quick. I want to see if something's going on. That's blood. Blood.
It's the same.
Okay. Okay, that's what I thought.
What happens when... yeah.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Oh! Yes, it does open very wide, doesn't it? Wide enough to kick someone like you through, certainly, Mr. Naruhodo.
Why someone like me?
Uh,
What is it?
look, just here, look at this!
That's without question.
It's
Blood.
blood!
Why would there be a blood stain there?
Surely. It can't be unrelated to the case, can it?
Yoink.
No!
Oops.
So do we just present this?
On the right statement, of course.
Which I would assume would be this statement.
Yes. On that night in question, the victim was fatally stabbed in the stomach. And immediately afterwards, the victim's body was pushed through the skylight to the cabin below. Those are the facts. And the irrefutable proof remains clearly visible in the omnibus that stands before us today in this very courtroom.
Before we go further, if this is true, then like what you and I thought before, Zach, is absolutely right. The victim was dead when he was put inside of this omnibus.
Oh shit, so it was both.
Something's funky here.
Something's funky here.
What? That's utter humbug. You can't possibly have any evidence.
No, you can't. I mean, we didn't do it, I tell you. It's impossible.
Irrefutable proof here in this courtroom, isolated in this part of London.
Entirely within your kitchen.
Never.
Counsel, my lord, I believe everyone would appreciate a little clarification here. Where exactly within the omnibus is the evidence to which you allude? Will you point out the bloodstain that you just saw?
Your Honor,
Make it nice and official.
ketchup.
Kool-Aid!
No.
I can get you through this. Look at this blood.
Yeah. I put it there.
Ketchup.
Crocodile. By Jupiter, is that blood? This bloodstain proves two things. Firstly, when the incident occurred, the skylight of the omnibus was open.
What?
And secondly, the victim was already bleeding when he fell through the opening.
Oh my.
And so it follows that Mr. McGilded, who was inside the enclosed cabin himself at the time, cannot possibly be guilty of the crime.
No.
No! Order, order, order!
But the blood could have sprayed up there when the fellow was stabbed inside the cabin.
It only found its way to that one particular spot of the skylight? Sure, that would be very convenient.
Ah.
Let's keep it in mind that the skylight catch can only be unfastened from the roof deck. I myself wouldn't have been able to open it now, would I? There's no way to know for certain, is there? The gent really fell through the skylight, I mean? Why don't you have a good look at the floor of the cabin between the two seats, Mr. Hurst? It's all too plain, if you see. It's the aftermath that showed the poor fellow dropped from a fair height right there, so it is.
What? No!
But it can't be!
Lies! My fellow jury members! I think we can all agree this is clear proof of the defendant's innocence, can't we?
I believe we can, yes, sir. It's clear to me now where the filthy rubbish can be found in this courtroom.
So, they thought they could pull wool over my eyes, did they?
I won't tolerate any of the guild's carriages being sullied with blood. I won't tolerate it.
Oh, I always knew that nice gentleman who gave us that delightful park couldn't have done such a thing.
On three then, everyone. 1, 2.
3!
A chilling performance, Mr. McGilded. Oh, and what would you be referring to there now, Lord Van Zeeks? A blood stain on the frame of the skylight? Such evidence is null and void.
What? Why?
For one extremely simple reason. That smear of blood never existed.
What are you talking about? It's there for us to see. It's clearly blood.
I personally attended Scotland Yard's investigation of the omnibus. The officers involved went over the carriage with a fine-tooth comb. I could say with absolute surety, no such smear of blood existed in the carriage, at least not until this trial began.
But... are you suggesting Lord Van Zyk's stain of blood was...
Fabricated, my lord, yes, and while this court has been in session...
What?
What a palaver. I must say I didn't expect such crude reasoning from a prosecutor of your standing, Lord Van Zeeks. But I'm Magnus McGilded, a fellow known all over the capital for his fine contributions to public life. I don't take kindly to slander, and I'll fight to the bitter end. Even if it's rolling off the tongue of the Reaper of the Bailey. Mr. McGilded, I realize that this is your first appearance in court as the accused. However, well aware of your involvement behind the scenes in a great many affairs of dubious nature. You're very adept when it comes to avoiding getting your own hands dirty. And each time it happens that a case you're involved in is investigated, you adapt the facts.
Adapt the facts? What does that even mean?
You
wield a fortune the size of Mr. McGilded's, however ill-gotten it may be, nothing is impossible. Tampering with evidence, manipulating the scene of a crime, bribing witnesses. It toasts your ability to concoct the most convenient of stories, sir. Todd Lord Van Zykes, this will not do, to be sure. But it's now, counsel.
No.
I think it's fair to say this does all sound like a rather far-fetched excuse by a desperate man. The blood on the skylight didn't exist, you say? But if you will all cast your minds back, not true that the omnibus there had been in the courtroom the entire time? How could anyone possibly have put a smear of blood in it without the world and his wife seeing? Isn't that right now, counsel?
It's true. The omnibus has been in full view the entire time the court's been in session.
Learned friend. Here's to hear your opinion on this matter, in your own words.
As you wish. Could someone have tampered with the omnibus during the trial? If you're asking me, I think.
Yee.
As a defense lawyer, it's my job to advocate for the defendant as best I can. But still, I feel as though there's something even more important at stake here. There is no evidence to suggest the defendant did as my learned friend suggests. However, in terms of having the opportunity to carry out the alleged tampering, there is one possibility.
Oh.
Good gracious. Explain yourself, counsel.
Yes, there is. So a very learned Nipponese friend has no intention of running from this deceit.
Deceit?
Or everyone's
I'm sure everyone still remembers clearly. The recess that we were forced to take. As a result of the smoke grenade fired by the witness currently in the stand, Miss Gina Lestrade. What is going on?
Be careful. Cover your face.
Ah!
Bailiff, bailiff.
Yeah, it's recess. School's out.
Bye.
The courtroom was filled with smoke, and everyone was thrown into confusion. All of us were made to leave this chamber. In that brief interval under the veil of smoke and in the chaos, it could have been possible to steal inside the omnibus.
Are you wise? What are you trying to pull, ye rotten feckless gouger?
Feckless gouger?
You're supposed to be defending me. 'Tis a wicked plot. 'Tis a plot to undermine me, so it is. Whatever you think this is, it changes nothing. The facts are the same. After this courtroom was evacuated earlier as a result of the smoke grenade, a number of inconsistencies materialized in relation to the omnibus.
Inconsistencies such as...
Start with the storage compartment underneath the rear passenger seat. The police investigated the omnibus. This compartment was full of the driver's items. Secondly, we have the smear of blood on the edge of the skylight. As I have said, this was not present at the start of the trial this morning.
Unfortunately, Lord Van Zykes, no one is able to corroborate your claims. It's true. When the omnibus was first wheeled out, both the storage compartment and the skylight were shut. Accordingly, I'm afraid to say we cannot establish with any certainty if this evidence is the result of tampering or not.
Indeed, my lord. No doubt there was not a single person who saw fit to verify such things.
What do you think
Sorry?
about the omnibus? Is there anything else unusual about the omnibus?
Lee?
My lord. Yes, counsel. There's one further inconsistency. A mark that surely could not have been present at the start of the trial. What?
What the devil's name are you going to say now? If you dare to betray me, you little maggot, you better be something watching your back. Silence, McGilded. What awaits the defense's clarification.
This trial keeps swinging one way and then the other. I have no idea what truth's and what's deception. What am I supposed to believe here? I shall have to ask you to elaborate, counsel. It's the one... We've looked at it already.
Yeah, it's gotta be this. Yeah?
Yeah.
Bat stain.
If we consider the victim fell through the skylight onto the floor of the cabin, we'd certainly expect to find signs of blood where he landed. But as far as I recall, this bloodstain on the cabin floor was not there when the omnibus was first brought into the courtroom. Good lord! Yes, I do believe you're correct, counsel.
Well said. Although, as advocate for the defense, one might say that was a very careless slip of the tongue.
I believe the bloodstain on the floor is a decisive piece of evidence. But if the question is whether that evidence is genuine or whether it was unlawfully fabricated by someone, I feel compelled to admit there's at least a possibility that the evidence is fake.
This trial is over.
Mr. McGilded?
I've done everything I possibly can to cooperate with the court, but it's all over now.
But you're the defendant.
It's over, I tell you. Memory, recollection, what people think they saw, 'tis all nonsense. Facts are what counts. The fact is that bloodstain is there now.
Well...
Of course, this desperate trial, long and extremely drawn out as it has been, but good for nothing Reaper, the Bailey has failed to present any decisive evidence at all. I'm scandalized, so I am. I thought better of Lord Ramzeek's. Well, my lord?
I must concur with the defendant. The unaffirmed recollections of an individual cannot stand as evidence. At this moment in time, the particular bloodstain in question is very much in existence, and in the absence of any credible method by which to prove its alleged non-existence previously, I regret to say it would be improper for this trial to continue. Your lordship can't be serious. Lord Van Zykes, what is your position?
Prosecution, my lord. There's no further witnesses or evidence to present.
Very well. In that case, as I believe we have explored every possible avenue in this matter, I shall proceed with my adjudication. The formality, I am of course obliged to confirm with the defense first. What formality?
As things stand at the moment, it would seem that Mr. McGilded will be found not guilty,
Yes.
which would mean we've won.
Is that really the right outcome here? Is it alright for this to continue and end now with all these unexplained inconsistencies? Counsel for the defense, your closing statement, please. Yes, my lord. The defense believes...
He could be guilty. Maybe. Probably.
Thoughts?
I like the could be. I don't like guilty,
It's
but
not-
I do like could
It's not
be.
definitive. I am here in this courtroom today to advocate for the defense of my client, Mr. McGilded. However, at this moment in time, I cannot in good conscience attest fully to the defendant's innocence. What are you saying, man? Without any question, there is no conclusive evidence to prove the defendant is guilty. However, there is also no conclusive evidence to prove he is innocent. Good gracious me! Order! Order! This is unprecedented behavior, counsel. The defense lawyer calling the accused his innocence into question. Are you of sound mind?
Oh, it was a grand decision to appoint you as my lawyer, so it was a grand decision.
What?
I must say, I didn't expect quite such an exciting spectacle at the end there, but still. Here, have this for your troubles.
Ah,
Your job here is done, fella, and some fine work you've done, so you have.
what do you mean?
Says the right honorable gentleman so succinctly put it before, the trial can't go on anymore. Your closing statement there was, how did he put it down? Nothing more than a formality.
I really don't know what to make of all this. The evidence seems genuine is a fake.
His lordship would be fuming. Any unsightly rubbish should be disposed of promptly, as I said.
Thinking rich are always guilty of something, you mark my words.
I feel terribly ashamed that I ever doubted that lovely man who gave us the lovely park.
Now that the proceedings have unfolded in this way, I am compelled to declare a premature end to this trial. Furthermore, the court must accept the defendant's plea.
Thank you kindly, my lord.
I hereby declare and pronounce the verdict of this court.
What?
But we still haven't determined if the blood stain is genuine or
Oh
not.
my god, Buppy.
We don't know if these witnesses are telling the truth or a pack of lies. We have no idea about the truth. Lord Van Zykes,
My lord.
the case made by the prosecution was flawed, plain and simple. If indeed the omnibus presented as evidence was tampered with, the prosecution is at fault for allowing such a disgraceful perversion of justice to take place.
My sincerest apologies, my lord.
But wait, when we were evacuated, Lord Van Zykes ordered the evidence to be secured. I'm afraid the prosecution cannot shun responsibility in this matter. That's unfair. The culpability of the defendant has not at this present been established by this court. Consequently, the jury will not be required to proffer judgment. What?
Well, Lord Van Zeeks, it's been a pleasure, so it has. And as for you, my dear fella, fuck you. I couldn't have asked for a better defense.
What do you mean? It has all been a grand waste of time?
It's the law of the land, my good man. If you'd like to pursue this matter further, you can always go ahead and try to change the law.
You can call me at 1-800-FUCK-OFF!
Magnus McGilded. Good grief, you've more to say than me, have ye?
Just one thing, a warning. Your zipper's down.
Although this is far from over. Well, something to be looking forward to then.
I hereby pronounce the defendant, Mr. Magnus McGilded.
Not McGilded.
Stupid. Stinky.
Stinky indeed.
The court finds the defendant stinky.
Yay, we got the not guilty verdict.
Fits with you real good, right?
Oh,
what
yeah.
cause?
I feel great about the endings to 2 of these 3 cases so far.
It's an outrage, right?
It's an outrage.
He's innocent. With the courtroom in pandemonium for the second time that day, the judge delivered his verdict. My first ever trial in Great Britain came to an abrupt end, with the defendant being found not guilty, ostensibly a victory for us.
And now we get to talk to Grand Lord Dude, maybe.
Grand Lord Dude.
Yeah! That certainly was a long trial.
Ah, yes, it was.
Your first ever trial on foreign soil and your first victory. It was a wonderful performance. My heartfelt congratulations.
And to you, Mrs. Sato, thank you for your assistance. I suppose we should be happy. The trouble is, we're still completely in the dark about what actually happened.
Well, we didn't have enough time.
But isn't it wrong? I mean, who was actually responsible for Mr. Mason's death? We don't even know that.
The sole aim of the defense is to obtain a verdict that exonerates the defendant. You carried out your duty to perfection.
Aye, that she did.
Mr. McGilded. And that girl's with him too.
Well, it seems the stories are true.
What stories?
But the 6 enormous fireworks they do be lit up when there's a verdict of not guilty. You must have seen them now. Spectacular, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, definitely.
Heard it was a sight to behold, and to be sure it was. And I viewed a tank, I suppose, for having an opportunity to see it.
I don't know about that. I'm not sure I really did anything.
What are you saying, fella? How did I walk out of there a free man, then?
I don't think it was much thanks to me, down as to your planning.
You're a straight-talking fella, aren't you? I must say you had me astray in the head there once or twice. But you're young and headstrong, wahahaha, 'tis water under the bridge.
Congratulations, Mr. McGilded, on having your name cleared.
But nothing's resolved.
The one thing that matters to me.
No?
Hey. You all seen that I didn't do that odious and absent deed? 'Tis grand, is it not?
I suppose it is.
The fine fellows of Scotland Yard can take matters in a hand and sort out any wee details. They'll see it for what it is, they'll get to the truth. Absolute faith in them, so I have. After all, I do be providing a good number of their wages with all the taxes I pay. Wahaha.
That's not funny.
So then, as we agreed beforehand, 1,000 guineas for your troubles, fella?
Oh, no, I couldn't accept that much.
Ara, be wist, you're a humble person, you're humble, are you? From the east. But if you insist, but have this, still and all, you deserve a reward.
Mr. Magnus McGilded! Everything is ready, sir. If you'd like to follow me into the courtroom.
Into the courtroom?
Was this, officer, just sooner than I was led to believe?
I hope it's not an inconvenience, sir. We did some changes into the schedule.
Well, I must be making tracks now. 'Tis time for the inspection.
Sorry, what inspection?
The cock inspection, my boy. They're going to examine the omnibus again, so I'm told. Asked if I could be present for it myself.
They're going to examine it again? Now?
Naturally, I'm under no obligation to take part in any more of this matter now. As an upstanding member of London society, I do be doing my best to help where I can. It's a gentleman's duty, so it is. So then, fare thee well. It was an absolute pleasure meeting yous. I hope you have a whale of a time while you're studying here in Great Britain.
And there he goes, disappearing, a free man. Oh, I forgot she was here too.
Shoot me. Do it. Shoot me in the head.
Fire! Don't move.
Whereas I want to say, get a move on, she really does take forever to load that thing. Miss Lestrade, would you mind putting that thing down?
You're a grown-up.
Sorry?
And I ate all grown-ups.
You are? What the fuck?
Naughty, naughty, running off like that.
Is this some kind of picnic? Who's the little girl now?
And taking that with you as well. I was looking forward to the trial run of my experimental smoke grenade launcher. Do you want to play? You won't beat me.
Jesus.
Grr.
Excuse me, but who are you?
Oh, good day to you. I'm, well, the inventor, I suppose, of that machine.
The inventor?
Well, normal smoke grenades are dull, don't you agree? White, white, and more white. If you have to be shrouded in smoke, could it at least be a pretty color, I thought to myself.
Do we have to be shrouded in smoke, though? Like, at all?
I just took my eyes off it for a moment while I was changing to a different omnibus, and she pinched it. Luckily, I fitted it with a telegraphic beacon.
What's it what? I have no idea what she's talking about.
Anyway, you're coming with me now. Back to my laboratory. What for? To apologize, of course, silly, to my technician. What? You mean, say sorry? You must say sorry when you've done something wrong. Surely an adult has told you this before. An adult? I don't listen to no adults. Come along then, follow me. Fine, have it your way. This is Boyga King. Oh good, you see, I knew you'd want to do the right thing in the end.
I'm fairly sure that what she wants to do is not get shot by the massive gun.
Toodles. We'll be leaving now then, bye-bye. I'm sorry for all the fuss.
She was a lively one.
Well, do you think perhaps we ought to be on our way now too?
Yeah, you're right, but where to?
Oh,
We haven't had time to find a place to stay. No sooner than we arrived in London than we had to rush here. All of our traveling cases are out with the bailiff.
I was originally planning to spend today in search of lodgings.
But at this late hour of the day, I'm afraid we may be out of luck.
Don't worry though, I have a plan. If worst comes to worst, I've heard of a lovely park where we could spend the night.
You're not talking about the McGilded Park.
I know it may be a little chilly at this time of year, but our youthfulness will see us through.
They're gonna fuck.
In the park? I'm
At
not so
night.
sure about that. I think a midwinter London night will freeze a young person solid just as easily as an elderly one.
Oh dear, that doesn't sound agreeable.
I'm starting to regret turning Mr. McGilded down. 1,000 guineas I would have paid for a lovely warm room. And so, the trial to determine my worthiness for the study tour was over by the end of our first day in London. Over as we were soon to learn. There were more trying times ahead, just as the Reaper of the Bailey had warned. The case was far from over.
Oh. Oh no! Oh my god!
He's pointing.
わかりません。私が駆けつけた時にはもう現場検証が始まるまで立ち入り禁止のはずではないか。 中に誰かいるのか。うわなんという。
Oh my fucking god.
God damn.
Nick, who was in there?
McGilded.
Like, actually?
Yeah,
You got McGilded.
yeah. He's McGriddled now.
And that bailiff led him to it?
Well, find out what happens some other day.
Find out what happens next time on Great Ace Attorney Chronicles.
Yeah. Okay, thanks for joining, people. Have a good night.
Good night, everybody. Thanks for joining.